Welcome to the Breaking the Rock podcast, the podcast of Limestone Athletics. I am Trey Bloom with the Limestone Saints Sports Network. I'm here with Mike Sanders and Matthew Ferris in the inaugural Break the Rock podcast. It's exciting, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great time. We've been talking about this for about a little over a month now. Matt, maybe 2 nights ago, but that's a little beside the point at this point. Well, yeah, but that's a whole other issue. But we've been talking about getting on this for about a month now. Me and Trey, we've been really wanting to get in and kind of dissect the sports that we don't really get to see a lot on campus normally. You read a release on the website, yeah, sure, it tells you. You go watch the game, sure, it's a great experience. But we're going to try and get in there a little bit more. We're going to tell you what's going on, big things, what's going on with all of our teams and every time.
Very behind-the-scenes look.
Yeah, exactly, right?
A little more in-depth. So that's kind of the purpose of the podcast, is we wanted to give you the one-stop shop for all of Limestone Athletics, let you really know what's going on. So first, let's break down who we are a little bit before we get too far into this. I'm Trey Bloomer, of course, I've already mentioned. I'm from Gaffney, South Carolina, 05 graduate of Gaffney High School, and then went to South Carolina. But I am born and bred Limestone. I mean, I bleed blue and gold. I grew up here my entire life. My dad's been a swimmer since 81. So yeah, it's me. Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about you, your background, and what brought you here to Limestone?
Well, I'm originally from Minnesota, right outside Minneapolis. Northern boy, moved to North Carolina. I've been swimming for 18 years of my life, and that's really what brought me down here to Limestone, was an opportunity to swim. Good little school coming down here. I've been here for now 4.5 years, so I'm excited.
Is he ever going to get rid of you?
I believe I'm now on the 12-year plan or something.
Are you in the Van Wilder plan?
No, I'm on the Van Wilder plan, exactly. It's a great experience, but Daddy still writes the checks, so we're good to go.
All right, Matt, talk about you, man. How did you get here?
Well, as Trey mentioned, I am Matthew Ferris. I, like Trey, have been around the Gaffney area for the majority of my life. 03 graduate of Blacksburg High School. As soon as I got out of high school, I went to the Army. I did 12 years there, decided that was enough, and enrolled in Limestone. I always heard about Limestone and the prestige that they have, and I got hooked up with Trey and Ernest Myers in the Sports Information Department, and I've been working with those guys for 2.5, almost 3 years now, and it's a lot of fun.
We do have a lot of fun in there, don't we?
We do. I mean, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of long hours, but it's a lot of fun, and I think that's what is important.
We get the time to do this kind of stuff.
This is actually pretty cool. We thought, well, heck, all these other guys on ESPN can do it. Shoot, we can do it too, right?
Well, daddy go.
We'll try it.
All right, you two need to stop with the Southern stuff now.
Sorry.
Minnesota.
All right. Of course, let's break down. Let's go to our first segment. Big news on campus.
Yeah, definitely.
What's first off? Men's and women's basketball.
Yeah.
Preseason rank just came out.
Big news coming out just recently in the past week. Men's basketball, just yesterday, I think, was released. Number 21 going into the season this year right now. Highest ranking, as far as I know. You can back me up on this because your dad coached a long time ago.
Preseason, this is the
I'm
highest.
pretty sure it's the highest ranking we've ever been nationally in the NCAA era, at least. I didn't know about the NAI era. Your dad would know, maybe, possibly, but he's been here forever. But yeah, highest ranking we've ever had.
And they're doing it. No PJ Foster.
No PJ Foster.
PJ just signed a pro contract overseas with Halifax.
Canada.
Canada's not overseas.
All right. Well, good thing this can be edited.
We're leaving that one in there.
Over the Great Lakes. How about that? All right.
Over the Great Lakes.
But yeah, no PJ Foster. But it doesn't seem to matter. I talked with Coach Scott recently. He thinks this may be quite possibly, most talented team he's ever had.
Yeah, and that's bold words. You've seen some of the people that have come through here. PJ Foster, Chucky Scotland back in the day.
Just recently, Jarrell Douglas, Danny Friend.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had some good players, and that's kind of high praise from Coach Scott right there.
Yeah, exactly. And he's usually pretty on par when he starts talking about things like that.
Well, I mean, you got to look. You got the returning starters like Assad Woods, Josh Odom, Shaq Dance, who really contributed to the team last year. They've had a full season to gel together, and I mean, they're all excited about what this year has in store.
It's talking about excitement. Women's basketball.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Wow, number 4 in the nation right now.
Coming off the Elite Eight.
Coming off the Elite Eight last year. It's interesting to note, though, defending national champion ranked 16th in preseason.
I think they were a little bit of a Cinderella story.
Yeah, they were a little bit. That's fair, and we kind of were too. If you look at it, though, our NCAA ranking probably wasn't the most.
Probably wasn't accurate.
Yeah, probably wasn't the most accurate that we got. We were 7th seed in the region, and we just blew through that regional. Blew through it.
Bringing him back. A key part of how blowing through that, returning preseason All-American now, Celestial Warren.
Yeah.
How about that?
She's definitely a good player. You know, talking to Coach Fox even before last year, I talked to him a little bit. I was on the bus ride down to Clemson when they went and did their scrimmage down there. I talked to him a little bit about the team. He said, yeah, she's going to do big things. And, you know, her points always show it every game.
15 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, plays inside-outside game.
Yeah.
But she's not the only one that's coming back, though.
No, we have brought, I believe, our entire starting lineup back.
We lost 2 players from last year
Yeah.
that saw minimal playing time, but for the majority of the scoring is back.
Yeah.
Morgan Brown at point.
Defense, solid.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
you know, we got Alicia Brookins back, always stout on defense.
Got the Twin Towers down low.
Twin Towers. I like the name. I like it.
Speaking of preseason, going last year to play Clemson, this year they get to go to the historic Cameron Indoor Stadium,
Ooh.
which will be
Duke.
Hey, you know what?
Duke basketball, men's and women's. It's pretty spectacular to see, and for us to travel up there, it's going to be something special.
It's a really fun environment. I mean, coming from the Raleigh, North Carolina area, you know, I've gone to a few NC State games over there. It's a special environment. It really is. It's not something you get to experience here in Gaffney, but they're a little crazy up in Cameron.
And, of course, that's October 30th, 6:30 p.m., Cameron Indoor.
Yeah, but, you know, of course, before we start off the basketball season with those scrimmages, we're going to have a nice event, a SAC-sponsored event, Student Athlete Advisory Committee, on October 25th, 9 o'clock p.m. It's going to be down in the gym. We're going to do something a little different, something we haven't done ever in the past. It's going to be our little tip-off, you know, get the season started. Very similar to what Kentucky does with their Big Blue Madness. We're going to come in, you know, we're going to show some highlight videos. We're going to have the players coming in, showing a little personality, coming out of their locker room, spotlights, lights down. It's going to be a great experience. We're going to have a dunk contest, a couple student competitions, dance and cheer, pep band are all going to be there. I've already been apparently guaranteed the football team showing up too. So, you know, it's going to be a great time. There's going to be a lot of energy going on in the gym, and you know, we're planning that out right now. We're putting it together. It's going to be a real good show.
I think you're working on a little special video project for that.
I'm working on a few little special projects for this. I'll be the voice of the entire night too. So you got to remember that.
Oh wow, you got suckered into that, huh?
So I'm making videos. I'm talking about people. I'm emceeing. You're going to hear this beautiful radio voice all over those speakers in Timken Gymnasium.
That is frightening.
Right? You see how much my voice just changed?
Little Fabian.
It's really good.
Of course, talking about Fabian Fuentes, the Saints, the voice of the Saints, play-by-play guy, long time, Limestone alum. In fact.
Limestone alum, indeed. Yes, he's a great guy. Great guy.
All right, so that's kind of the big news that's going up that we felt that we need to touch on before we get going. Now, going to our next segment, we're going to go spin around the rock right now, go around Limestone's campus, and we're going to start it off with Limestone field hockey.
Yeah.
Well, field hockey, guys, you can't imagine the job that Coach Jackson has done with these girls. A fairly new program.
You know,
6 years ago, first
6 years.
season, didn't win a game, and now they're holding strong at 5th in the country. They came off of a heartbreaking loss just last week to Shippensburg on
national champs.
Defending national champion Shippensburg, number 2 in the country. That was a neutral site game in Severn, Maryland, and they actually lost that on an untimed penalty at the very end of the game. They lost 1-0.
That's just rough to see. You
Talk
know?
about a heartbreaker.
Rough to see. It's one of those things you don't see often in college sports, is that opportunity to sit down and say, all right, we have the ball. We have as much time as we want. Let's figure out what we're going to do. And, you know, you think about that a little bit, and you wonder, did Limestone overthink what they were going to do? Because we held them scoreless for 70 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, 1 second changes it all.
It's tough. I mean, we were, Mike, we were at the Panthers game, and we were following that along up there in Bank of America, and it was tough. It was tough. I mean, we felt it there, and I can't imagine. But, hey, this is the next part. You're now becoming a national power. The next step is you got to get over the mental hurdle of yeah, we're playing the big teams, but you got to realize we are one of those.
We're a big team as well. After that loss, talking to Coach Jackson, she said she was proud of her girls for the effort. She, of course, wished it could be a different outcome, but like any other coach, any other team, they can't hang their heads on this one loss because their upcoming schedule is probably one of the toughest in the nation. They have road trips to, I believe it's Kutztown today.
Kutztown today.
They play Kutztown today.
20 minutes, we're 3:36 here.
And then on Sunday, they are at number 3, Westchester. And like I said, that's another road game before they come home to play Lindenwood, which will be a rematch of the ECAC Conference Championship from last year. So that should be a fun match there.
You got to remember with that game last year, that was a penalty shootout that we ended up winning that game in at the ECAC Invitational Tournament, which wasn't a championship game last year, but this year it is.
And which we will be hosting here, by the way,
Yeah.
November 14th and 16th. But Matt, after Lindenwood, it didn't get any easier, though.
Absolutely not, Trey. A week later, the 25th, they will go to, of all people, number 1 Millersville.
Yeah.
You talking about competition. I mean, the number 1 team in the country, it's really going to show Coach Jackson and her team who they really are.
It's a huge statement game. You know, if Limestone can come in to Millersville up there in Pennsylvania and show up the number 1 team, that will be a big, big staple of the season.
It'll remind me very similar. If we'll go back a little bit to 2000. Limestone men's lacrosse shocks the world and wins their first ever national championship.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's very similar. Here we are, one of only 2 Southern teams in all of NCAA Division II, and they're like playing the Northern powerhouses, and they don't think Limestone doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
This stretch right here, that'll tell the girls. Again, as we went back into, we are one of those big teams now. That's the mental hurdle is it's a real thing. So that they have to now approach it. We are one of these big teams. We got a tough stretch coming up. Let's not look at it. We're playing Westchester. We're playing Millersville. They got to play Limestone. They have to play Limestone.
Yeah.
And that's what they should be scared of.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I'm sure Coach Jackson and Coach Keever and all the other assistants are helping the team try and understand right now is this is a special position that this team is in this year. It's very special. You know, number 5 currently in the nation. I think one of the highest rankings we've ever had in the field hockey program. And being just a 6th-year program, being that far south like you were mentioning, now Newberry's the only team more south than we are in the field hockey.
They're a new program.
When they're a very new program. But still, you know, you've got to think Coach Jackson is trying to instill that into the minds of all the players and saying, yeah, they might have a 1 in front of their name, but that don't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Once you get out on the field, you don't see any number 1s. You don't see any number 5s. It doesn't matter. It all comes down to the sticks and the balls and putting it in the back of the net. You know?
Let's talk about a little bit and go a little more in depth with the team. Right now, I talked with Coach Jackson in the preseason. She told me, she said the one thing that they were really working on, the one thing they were unsure about, is they knew they had some firepower. They were bringing back multiple All-American Rachel Gormonzi up top, the senior from Harare, Zimbabwe. They knew they had the firepower. What they were worried about, she was a little concerned. I wouldn't want to say even worried, but a little concerned was you had a freshman in goal. So what they really worked on is they really worked on shoring up that defense to play to protect Tabria Cochran, and in doing so, they ended up becoming the best defensive team in the country with already 6 shutouts on the season.
Well, just to piggyback off of that, Trey, yes, she is a freshman in goal, but if you look at it over the 10 games of the season, her playing in 9, one of them, they let another goalkeeper, Delaney Get played against Virginia Wesleyan. But if you look at the 9 games that Tabria has played in, I mean, she's given up 4 goals all year. I mean, that's an incredible number to come straight out of high school into college and play against teams that are established and have been playing, you know, for 2 or 3 years together. To not give up goals, if they don't score, they don't win. And that's a key component to any team, any championship team.
And the way they should look at it is against Shippensburg is we didn't let them score the entire regulation. We lost on. You could almost look at it. It's a little flukish. I mean, they got to score on an untimed penalty corner. You know, they can look at it. We shut out another team, really. In actuality, in regulation, we shut out another team. to me, that you build on that. Still to me, I would look at that. That's a conference booster. We can still build on this.
Yeah, it's definitely something there to keep in the back of their mind, saying, yeah, we may have gotten that loss, but it was not a loss in our hearts. No way.
All right, let's move on. We'll go to the soccer pitch, and we'll go with Matt Smith's squad, the Limestone women's soccer team. Also another fantastic start. Mike, you can give us a little bit of details of what's going on there?
Yeah, we've been doing really solid this year so far. Just the beginning of October, Catawba came here. Now their program had lost a few of their good players, All-American, out with an injury. They're playing a backup goalie as well, but still, the first time that Limestone has ever won against Catawba. We did that this year.
Previously, 6-0. Catawba was 6-0-1 against the Saints.
So that's a big statement year. And then we came in the next 3 days later. Conference Carolina's foe Barton came down here, and that was just an amazing game. It was deadlocked till about the 88th minute, I think, if I remember properly. And I don't want to say what I want to say here, but probably one of the least likely people to actually score the goal in the end. Number 88, Sam Bergerette, puts it in, 88th minute, and we go on to win 1-0. It was the biggest, the benches erupted. I mean, the stands were going crazy. Even in the press box, we were like, what? Yes! It was
easy now.
Easy. It was great. It really was. It was a quality match the entire way through, and in the end we just pulled it out there. And then we went up to Lees McRae on Wednesday here. We had a tough loss there, 2-1. It's always hard to go at Banner Elk, whether you're a women's or men's soccer team. Always hard in Banner Elk.
Playing up in the mountains.
It's cold. It's always just never a fun environment up there. You're literally on top of a mountain in Banner Elk, North Carolina. It's a rough place to play. But it was still a very hard-fought victory. I know, I'm sure Coach Smith was pretty happy with the performance of the ladies still.
Yeah, I still think he looks at it. That was a tough place to win. We still got it there. We got a goal. We didn't quite do well enough. But we're going to shake it off. We're going to come back in. We still have another conference game coming up. We're going to play at Southern Wesleyan, new to Conference Carolinas. And when I say they're new to the conference, I think I should preface this a little bit. They're more you would consider a scheduling partner. They're in the middle of their second year making the transition from NAIA to Division II, but they're still a team to be reckoned with. And we got to go on the road, and if we don't come, the team doesn't play well. That's a loss, but I still think overall right now, the season after last year was so decimated by injuries. To come out, they're 5-2-2, 3-1-1 in the conference. It's a good accomplishment so far for the team. I think they're on the right track, and I still look for them to have big things. And the biggest one to me, I'd say, they've lost at home.
Yeah.
So you just get them to Saints Field, we can't be beat.
Let's just host the whole conference tournament in NCAA. Why not? Let's just have some fun then. It's been a great year to watch the ladies. I've seen them develop over the 4 years I've been here, and our strikers up top right now with Gabriella Reed and Zoe Fisher, probably the best forwards I've seen in a long time.
What a great
since
bunch up there.
Since the Aldrin Flegel era.
All she did was raining goals from everywhere.
She would just, she had a special innate ability to just put the ball in her foot and put it in the back of the net without trying. And, these ladies that are up top nowadays, they're doing very similar work. They're getting through balls to each other, getting through balls to Jalen Doherty as well. A lot of our players are playing really well, and our defense is doing extremely well. Playing Leah Kennington back there, Helen Winterburn, number 19, Emily Ludwig. They're just holding it down back there. And our goalies have been playing out of their minds as well.
Yeah.
You look at Mariette starting the year off, doing really well. We got Alexis Dunbar playing really well as well. 5'2", I think is what she is.
Another freshman.
It's amazing to me how that, 5'2", and she looks so big in the goal. She makes plays that I am just amazed by every time. She saved a huge penalty kick. I was in field hockey mind still. She saved a huge penalty kick against Catawba, I believe.
Yeah, it was Catawba.
That was a great.
That was actually 3 minutes into the game, and after talking to Matt Smith after the game, that really set the tone for that win.
It really did.
3 minutes into the game, if you go down 1-0, you've got kids that want to hang their head. She stepped up, made a beautiful save, and from there on out, it was all Saints.
Yeah, and you like to see that.
And I believe it was in that game that I didn't get to see it. I was covering men's soccer from the house that night, right? Release. Didn't Anne-Marie Davies have an incredible free kick?
It was one of the best goals I've seen in a very long time.
I could
talk about what happened, guys. Give us a situation where, 3 seconds.
Well, I was the ball boy, so I got a really good view.
That ball boy that night, man, he was just not on fire.
He was terrible.
The only ball boy I knew to ask the referee to call the timeout because he was thirsty. So.
He needed that Gatorade.
There's no water breaks. This isn't the World Cup.
Well, the referee asked me, he said, "What do you want me to call the timeout for?" I said, "I don't know. Find something. I'm about to die here."
But that was a beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We had, I think, maybe 15 seconds left in the period at that time.
When she
took the kick, it was 3 seconds.
Okay.
But, so 15 seconds left. They're driving down the left side. She gets fouled right at the top corner of the box. Matt's just like, "Oh, my goodness, put the ball down. Just drops it down, sets 2 back, kicks it, top right corner. Goalie had no idea what to do.
Frozen.
She was just,
It was the most beautifully placed ball I have seen.
I had no idea what this, we were speechless in the press box.
What was the reaction of the crowd when that happened?
It went, you think if we win, we go crazy? That was the most energetic I think I've ever seen a soccer crowd at Limestone College.
To go into the half with a goal like that, it was remarkable.
It was just, I can't even tell you the emotion on the sideline from that team when they saw it.
Can we say this? This is her first year playing women's soccer here at Limestone.
That was her first goal.
It was her first goal ever here.
She came here as a women's track and field athlete and put her on the soccer pitch, and she bends it like Beckham.
I tell you, she puts that speed to go to work on the outside. She makes runs like nobody's business.
We talked about the atmosphere of the fans, and if you really want to go back to it, our undefeated streak that we've got going at home it's shown by our fans. We have one of the best fan bases that I've ever seen at a small school.
Don't you think moving these to night games has been a big part of that?
Night games are something special up on that field. You get all the other teams that really support the teams that are playing at the moment, and they come in and, when you're out on the field and you see all your other classmates up there that play for other sports that choose to come and watch you, it really says something. And the fans that Limestone brings the games, parents, friends, classmates, professors, it's unheard of. And it really goes a long way for the confidence that it gives these teams when they play.
I got to agree with that. Watching the fans this year Saints Field now has lights. We're turf field with a brand new Bob Kimball Fieldhouse. Out there, it's a incredible atmosphere. Playing under the lights. There was over 200 people there for the women's soccer match. I think it's a testament, like you said, to the Saints fans, and what a great environment we have up there now. And it's a shiny beacon, and the best in the league and one of the best in the regions now. We have a facility up there.
Definitely, yeah. It's a great atmosphere, and I'm really glad we have that now for our athletes.
Anything else here we need to touch on with women's soccer so far? Anything else you had written down in your notepad?
Well, we don't make fun of the notepad. It's a great little thing.
Is that chicken scratch? Or
it's very similar to chicken scratch. It's actually a special font called Nike. You can download.
You can download it.
You can download it. It's called
101.
No. When you go into Word, it's actually called Wingdings. Mailbox. No, but the women's soccer team coming up here on Saturday tomorrow, playing against Southern Wesleyan, like we were talking about earlier.
Swoo!
Upcoming game on Wednesday. They're traveling to King, and then they come home next Saturday. We're going to play Converse here. Which
King's
Converse?
Here. No, at Converse, King's here.
Is that Converse? Yeah, sorry.
Come on, get it together.
Well, you know what? I didn't write
Michael
that
Sanders.
down. Well, hold on now. Calm down now, DT Bluma.
And that Converse matchup is going to be pretty good.
It's an interesting one, yeah.
From talking to Converse's SID, they just secured their first winning season in program history. So,
yeah.
They're going to be excited when the Saints come to town.
I tell you, Converse right now was playing lights out with their women's soccer team. They're playing absolutely lights out.
And, by the way, conference is leading the conference.
They are
leading the conference.
5-0 in the conference, 10-1 overall right now.
Where did this Valkyries team come from?
This is coming from a team, they just secured their first winning season.
Yeah.
Not first conference championship season or anything, but first winning season.
This is a team where, back in my freshman and sophomore years here at Limestone, we looked at that, it was like, oh, we're going to play Converse, okay. So what do you guys want for dinner after?
Yeah.
It was one of those things. But now, they've started to develop over the past couple of years, and they have become a extremely good team this year. They finally put it all together.
They lost their first game of the year against Queens over in Spartanburg, and since then 10 straight, including
straight winning.
3-1 win at Mars Hill, 2-0 win over Barton, 3-2 at Mount Olive. I mean, they're taking care of business.
They're
it's
playing.
not going to be easy.
It's going to be a great game down there in Spartanburg. It's going to be a tough fought battle. It really is. And that'll be another one of those statement games that the women's soccer team can have down there. And they have a great field down there. It's kind of a valley kind of action thing. It's really nice looking. It's an interesting atmosphere to play in. Being an all-girls school, it's an all-girls, really high-pitched screaming section. But it's a really fun experience down there always. They show a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting for our ladies to play down there. And they're doing that on the 18th.
And I guarantee you Coach Smith will have his girls ready.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
So
that'll be a fun one.
Speaking of some coaches, let's go on over to a very happy, all right, through the roof.
Oh, man.
Coach Alsop of the men's soccer team.
He's like a little kid in the candy shop. He's loving every minute of this.
Yeah,
of course, we're talking about Limestone's dramatic, maybe even an understatement, 2-1 victory. First ever time up at Lee's McRae. They won it. They did it in the final 10 minutes, and they did it a man down.
Man down.
Yeah, I really liked where, we have our sports information group text going on. Trey sent a text to everyone who's like, I got the headline, Saints steal it on the mountain. It was beautiful, because that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly
what happened. We went man down, about 43 minutes left in the second half. And honestly, we weren't getting the good looks.
And that's already being down 1-0.
Yeah, we were already down 1-0. And we just weren't getting the good looks early on in that second half. We were playing man down. We were trying to defend, make sure that we didn't go down anymore. That last 10 minutes were just the most energetic I've seen those boys play this year, I think.
I think part of that, they changed the formation. They changed the shape a little bit.
Yeah.
They got more, instead of just trying to not let another goal in, they said, you know what, this is a credit to Coach Alsop and Coach Morris. Coming out, they went up for 3 in the back line, 4 in the midfield, 2 up front, and they just attacked.
Yeah, and it was great. But it was a great experience there for the men's soccer team up there. It was really fun to watch. I was watching actually with a couple of the girlfriends from the men's soccer team. We were actually watching it on my phone because we were not near a computer at that time, but it was really interesting to see really small screen, and all I say, we scored a goal. Who was it? I don't know, but we scored a goal. All right, woo! And honestly, even on the small cell phone screen that I saw, they were 2 of probably the most beautiful goals I've ever seen.
Well, let's talk about it.
Oh, my Lord.
Hey, let's break down the goals, guys. First one.
So first one we had number 2, Ishmael Newman-Sana is driving through the middle. Looses it up on the top of the box just a little bit. Has a little scruffle going on. On the top of the box with a couple of Lee's McRae players. Somehow, I still have not figured out how he did it, but somehow he got the ball. Passed it up to Sam Orrit, sitting up on the top right hand of the corner of the box. Just drilled it. Absolutely drilled shot to the top shelf of the left corner.
Goalkeeper never had a chance to stop the ball. It was like a 95-mile-an-hour fastball getting hit over the center field wall. It was gone.
You can't do anything about something like that. And honestly, I was in awe. My jaw literally dropped at that goal because I was so excited for the boys at that point, and there's not a whole lot I can say about it.
I was like Mikey. I was watching it on I actually had a computer, but I was watching it, and when they scored the tying goal, I was like, good. Maybe we can send this into overtime. Worst case scenario, we get out of here with a tie. That's good. And then, the unthinkable happened. Harry Cooksley got the ball, minute 44 left, made a beautiful move to fake the defender, went around him and just drilled a shot into the top corner of the net. My kids were asleep. After that goal, they weren't anymore. My 4-year-old come running in, "Daddy, are you okay?" I said, "Yes, baby, I'm fine now." And it was just...
You know what? I'm sure that's exactly what Coach Alsop was saying to his players, too. "Yes, baby, I'm all fine now."
it was just absolutely incredible, the resiliency that these guys showed, being a man down 1-0, 10 minutes left in the match, to score 2 goals in that fashion.
Yeah.
It really shows who this team is and what they're about.
And it really shows, too, not only from the standpoint of watching them play, but if you look at the national recognition that we've been getting this year. We've been 6th. We're now 12th in the nation right now.
Second
in the region. It's just one of those great opportunities that the boys have this year to really put Limestone soccer on the map again. We were really good in mid-2000s, 2006, 2008. We made some really good strides with some really good players back then. But we haven't quite been there. Last year, we were really good. We got in a second seed in the NCAA tournament in our region. Unfortunately, got knocked out there.
We ran into the national runner-up, Carson Newman, who was just
they got
fire.
They got on a roll.
Yeah, they were an extremely tough matchup last year. But if you look at this team this year, we've lost a lot of players from last year. A lot of players that made a whole lot of rhythm in the middle of the field. Thomas Metzemaker.
I already saw her.
Metzi
right there in the middle of the field. He was a conductor.
Yeah, he really
led
was.
that attack out of the deep midfield.
And that's one of those things that we've lost a little bit of going into this year. But I tell you, some of those freshmen have really stepped up. Some of the people coming in, Harry Cooksley especially.
He didn't even play the first 2 games.
No, he didn't. But it's really funny to look at Harry Cooksley because he wears Metzemaker's number. He wears 23,
and he resembles him too.
And his game is exactly the same. He's that conductor.
It's a mirror image.
He does exactly what he needs to do to get the ball to the people that need to make the plays.
Not only Harry Cooksley, Ishmael Newman-Sana, as you mentioned already, another freshman that Coach Alsop can bring off the bench. One of the things that Coach Alsop said to me, we had a talk over the summer, and I sat in his office one afternoon, and we just started talking. We were talking about the World Cup and all that, and I started talking to him about his team, and I said to him, "So, what do you think this year? We lost guys like Jack Bailey and Bryce Ziada. We lost our keeper." And I just said to him, "What do you think about this team?" And he said to me, he was really honest, and he said, "Because I'm not sure what they're going to totally look like yet, but I can tell you this." He says, "This might be the deepest team I've ever had here." And as you already mentioned, Mike, they've had some good teams.
Yeah.
For him to say that this is maybe his deepest team, and it's bared out. He told me, he goes, "I really feel when I put the next guy in off the bench that I'm not really dropping too much off my starters. I'm bringing in somebody who I felt that could start, but that's a really good problem to have, and it's bared out that way. This is a very unselfish team." And we also mentioned going back to the Carson Newman game. Something really hurt us in that game that wasn't really talked about, but not having Lalena Rodriguez-Manantana in that game, where he just makes up so much ground there in his back in his defensive position. Not having him, and now you see the difference of him back in there, leading that back line. They're a tough team.
Yeah.
They're really good guys.
Well, it's like you said, Trey. When you bring a guy off the bench that could be a starter for so many other teams, that's a good problem to have.
Presumably, probably could be should be a starter for us, but that's the depth. It's the depth
with the depth and the talent, and going back to goalkeeper, losing Kyle Kerrigan from last year. Let's talk about Tom Godfrey a little bit. At the win at Lees McRae, he secured his 25th at Limestone, which is good for second all time, tied with Michael Stratford, I believe. He's done
little sports information nuggets over there.
He's been sensational in goal.
Did you whisper that to your ear?
No, I actually I read every now and then.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what is reading?
I can't explain it. I just know how to do it every now and then.
Yeah,
I did say that I went to Blacksburg, so.
But
no. Tom, he's been spectacular in goal. He has really set the tone on the back end of the defense. When our defensive line lets them down a little bit and they get a shot off, he's there. He's doing a remarkable job. Just as we mentioned with Alexis Dunbar with the women's team, Tom has really set the tone for the men's team to go out and play their game and do what they need to do.
Because of his quality, he really allows that back line to play a lot higher than you would see most teams. I still remember in that first game we did the webcast, playing Queens. I remember we remarked quite a bit, and it's kind of played out most of the season. The back line plays really high.
Yeah.
Well, you only let your back line play that high when you've got a tremendous guy back there in the net. And we do. Tom Godfrey, credit to him. Last year, Kyle Carriers came in, took the starting job. He didn't get down. He didn't get upset. Could have transferred because he can start anywhere else if he really wants to.
Yeah.
And credit to Tom Godfrey. He came back in there, and he's having a whale of a year.
Yeah, he's doing really well. He's impressing a lot of people, and that's a really good thing for our soccer team. But we talked about that Leeds McRae win, big win for the season. But we got some tough competition come up here. Conference schedule is always hard. No matter the quality of the teams, whenever you play a conference game, it's just ridiculous. They always get into it. So coming up here, we got Southern Wesleyan coming up here
Tomorrow at 5.
Yep, tomorrow we're going down there. The women's team is playing as well, and then we're gonna King's gonna come here on Wednesday, and then we got Emmanuel, I believe, next Sunday or
The 21st.
21st.
5 o'clock.
Can't remember exactly what
That's
day
a
that is.
Tuesday?
Maybe that's a Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah.
I might be lying about my days again. But yeah, the 21st they'll be here at Saintsfield. Again, Emmanuel's another one of those Conference Carolina's newcomers that, just like Southern Wesleyan, they're going through that transition year. So, scheduling partner. But they're going to come in there and try and make a statement early in the conference.
They get a chance to go. They get a chance to go to the number 12 team in the country. Who would not get psyched to do that? So that for them, the boys are going to be careful up here. We get the next. After we get past Southern Wesleyan, 4 of the last 5 games are all at home.
Yeah.
So again, just like the girls, they're undefeated 4-0 at home. It's about protecting the rock. It's about protecting that home field. And when we play at home, we're tough to beat. And if we get to play at home, we keep winning like this, we're playing at home going into the postseason again. Limestone's setting up right now. The top 2 in each region get to host an NCAA regional. So we're looking at that weekend of 14, 15, 16 right down in there. Limestone could be right back here again and set to make a deep run. And I think this team's in a better position than that team was. That team last year, they were really good, but they were banged up. They were really banged up. And this team, knock on wood, they've remained pretty healthy. And again, the depth is going to become huge because he can, again, Coach also has to bring guys off the bench that are starters. He's bringing, there's no backups. These are starters. They are all starters.
Yeah, exactly. And that's great to see, and something that I've always wanted to see from our soccer programs, the ability to do that, and we're getting it done this year. I love it.
All right, so where are we moving to next year around campus, Mr.
Ooh.
Sanders?
We're going to go to some dig sets and kills, baby. We're going to our women's volleyball team.
Attack. Dig, set, attack.
The hardest thing I've ever had to try to stat.
Why don't you talk about that a lot? You've now become with our former SID Josh Darling. Good again. Congratulations to him. He's going on to Clayton State. Mr. Ferris, you're the new Limestone Women's Volleyball SID, and you're still a student, huh?
Yeah, like you said, still a student. That's the big part. Student comes first, but in my spare time, I like to sit behind the computer and hit numerous keys over and over and over and hope that I don't screw up too much.
Spare time, I love it. You act like we have spare time.
But no, with Josh leaving, like we said, we'd like to wish him well at Clayton State. With him leaving, it really opened up a big opportunity for myself to come in and do the volleyball stat crew. Not that I'm the only one that knows how to do it, but I am the only one that knows how to do it. It was.
And we love you for it.
I mean, it's been really interesting. I was extremely nervous about it at first, but Coach Squares has really took a liking to me and, made me feel comfortable with what I'm doing. But enough about that. Going
your viewpoint, you're sitting there, you're at the scores table, when you're not staring down, hoping you don't screw up all the digs, sets, and attacks. What have you noticed from this team so far? I mean, they got off to a
very rough start, dropping their first 11 matches.
gets good competition though.
It was a very, very tough non-conference schedule. They played the number 19 team in the country, West Florida. They played some really good teams like
Peach Belt.
a lot of Peach Belt teams, USC, Aiken, Anderson. Really, really tough competition. But I think Coach Squares knew what he was doing when he did this schedule. Because when they got into conference play, they've been a totally different team.
Yeah, definitely.
They were young teams, so them taking the, but at the same time they're really young. That's part of why they took the lumps against a good competition. But I think you're right. I think you're onto something here when you say he knew what he was doing, because now once he got to the conference, the conference is a good league, but the Peach Belt's a little bit better league. The SAC's a little bit better league right now this season.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing, so now once he got into conference, he could say to the girls, look, you actually played well in some of these games. We didn't win them, but some of these teams you're going to play are not as good as what you
built
saw.
a foundation for your conference. There's 3 parts to every season. You've got your non-conference schedule, then you've got your conference schedule, then you got your postseason if you make it. And for these girls to drop their first 11 but bounce back the way they have in most teams, you lose 11 straight, you're looking forward to next season. Not these girls. I mean, they've shown perseverance. They started out first conference game against, the tied for conference championship regular season King, and they come out there with a 3-1 victory. I remember Trey and Mikey and myself was at a high school football game watching it on our phone, and I mean it was just incredible.
I about dropped my phone. I was like, wait, we won. What is this?
What? And we did well. We did well. Like it was
we started out the first set of that match, and I mean we got it handed to us.
25-12.
25-12, and like I said before, you lose something like that, and there's not a lot of confidence going around.
No. But, you look at it, and all of our ladies have started to really grasp the concept of playing together as a team. I think.
They've come into their own.
They early on in the season, I think a lot of what was going on was they wanted to kind of show off a little bit. Yeah, we're on the college stage now. Let's have a little fun. Let's play. Let's try and get some good kills early on. And I think that was part of the issue, was that we just weren't playing quite a complete game like we should be.
We weren't a team yet.
Yeah, we weren't.
They were still learning each other.
Exactly. So learning a team, especially in a volleyball game where you have to read the signals, where you're getting the sets, where you're going to push the kills, where you're setting ball, where all that stuff is all a acquired thing.
It's trusting your teammates going to be in the right spot. And volleyball really is. Most people don't think of it in true team sense, like you may think of football or something like that. But you got every single person that's on that court. You've got to trust that they know what they are. And with the young team that we have, so many freshmen that are playing, that took a little bit. But the key thing through all of that, and it goes back to it, there's talent.
Yeah.
There's some really talented players on this team, and once they figured it out, they got on a roll now. They go from 0-11. They're now 6-13. They've really started, and they've hammered some people.
I mean, over the past 8 games, at 6-2, they've dropped one conference one conference match at Erskine, which is a very, very tough place to play.
Yeah, and they didn't lose by a whole lot. I mean,
they were competitive.
They were competitive throughout the 3 sets, even though they lost 3-0. They were competitive in each set down there.
And they lost at Lander, but then they came back and they got it going again. I mean, they took it to Barton and Mount Olive. The East North Carolina teams, they're typically pretty good. I mean, they hammered them. Let's be honest. They really took it to them, and they looked in control. They looked at a superior team. It's a credit to Coach Squares and his staff to keep that team together through all that. But talking about that, let's talk a little bit about the team. Who were some of those standouts? We've mentioned that there are some talented young players.
Well, you've got 2 freshmen that really stand out, and outside hitter, freshman Ricky Ebert. I mean, she really knows how to hammer the ball.
What do you tell me every time we're sitting there at the scorer's table?
That girl has a hammer.
Yeah. I was talking to Coach Squares a little bit about her last year, because she came in second semester last year, to go to school here. And I don't know if you guys remember Emily Gosh last year, who was really strong with her arm. And he was like, yeah, Ricky hits harder than she does. And I was like,
and that's saying something.
What?
That's saying something, because Gotch was very good, but Ricky, being a freshman, I mean, stepping on the big stage, I mean, she's been impressive. And in order to get that chance to attack, comes from another freshman with freshman setter Natalie Tucker.
Yeah.
She's averaging 41 assists a game right now. I mean, that's almost unheard of. That's a lot.
Good.
Yeah. She's doing really, really well.
And anchoring the defense, Jessica Onken. Our senior libero.
Which is interesting because she actually was our setter last year.
Right.
She was. So, Coach Squirts has made a
Onken's a junior.
little bit of a switching around of the players. We lost one of our really good liberos last year, Rebecca Carrison.
Tremendous player, Rebecca Carrison. Really the fiery leader of that team.
Yeah, she brought a lot of energy to the court, and so Coach Squirts had to do a little switching around, throwing Onken back there now in the libero position,
and she's thrived.
She's done very, very well, and I think that's where she needs to be.
And when Natalie's not there to pick up the set, I mean, what a great thing! You have another setter right there.
Yeah,
Onken that can help set up the offense for the offense.
You have Onken there, and early on in the season, Mary Kate Katarinsky was doing a very good job as well of setting up some of those plays early on. So we got a lot of quality players on the team right now, and they are finally coming together to put it together, get in that conference season. We're only 5-1 in the conference. That's a really good place to be right now.
And let me say this. Former Limestone men's volleyball player and coach, Scott Warren, always taught me something. And I got to give credit to somebody. Aaron Courtney, coming in and playing incredible in the middle. Coach Warren always taught me that, think of you got to set those middles up. You got to keep, the bigs in the middle. You got to keep them going. He equated it, setting the middles up and getting them get points and being a part of the offense. He equated that to the run game in football. And when they get in that run game going with Aaron Courtney, this team is firing. Because when she's coming up, she's making that run. She makes that run to the right or left side, and she's laying a hammer down.
Yeah.
And then she's playing really solid, really, really solid right there in the middle. And she has to. She's one of the she's one of the old heads now. I mean, I still remember her coming in here, and one of the babies of the team. Now, as a junior, she's got to be the old head with leading all these teams. And I think her and Jessica Onken on that floor, there's something to be said now. They've gone through the battles to help the really talented freshmen out. And I feel like we got to give them some compliments out there. They have really come together. They get a chance now to really make a run and host a playoff game here.
Yeah.
And at 0-11, I don't know if you would have thought that.
No, I definitely didn't think that early on. And, even when we were talking about into the first webcast we did at home for our volleyball team, we were talking about a lot of, we might be 0-11 right now, but that means absolutely nothing.
It's conference. It's a new season.
Once you hit conference, it's a completely new game. No, I don't like remembering the 6-13 record we have right now because there's no point in it. We're 5-1.
We're 5-1.
That's what I'm thinking.
Like you said, Matthew, we're 5-1.
We're 5-1.
Season.
It's a 3-part season. We're right there in the middle. We're right where we need to be. 5-1. We're set up really well in our division, and I'm looking for some big things from our ladies later on. So
what we got coming up on the schedule for them so we can keep Saints fans up to date?
Well, I think
I know tomorrow night we got a big one against Converse at the Timpkin Center, 7 p.m. start.
I think Converse, much like their own side, they're off to a better start right now, aren't they?
I do believe they're not.
They're
quite
6-12.
as good. They're 6-12.
They got some wins.
They got an equal overall victory with us right now, but they're 0-6 in the conference. So, but they've been playing a lot better than they recently have as well too. Conference has been putting.
We do want to show them. We do want to show them a little love.
Yeah.
The coach of the team is the wife of former alum and coach Sean Poppy. So Regina, sorry tomorrow, but they're still playing.
Just like we were talking to Coach James last week. We wish them all the best luck until we play them. Then not so much.
Well, speaking of Coach James, boys, let's make it over the gridiron.
Oh man,
over to the reservation.
I guess it had to happen eventually, didn't it?
We have to talk about football, but no, we're excited about football. Hey guys, Limestone College has football now.
Yeah,
Did you know? Did you get the memo?
I don't know.
I think I vaguely remember somebody talking about it.
Have you been to a game yet this year? I don't know if I've been to a game. Oh wait, no, I have.
I think I've been there. Yeah,
I think we've been to everyone, especially that Newberry game where we were there.
When they kicked off at like 3:17 in the morning.
Yeah, you boys were down there.
We were pulling into the parking lot back here when the sun was rising.
I think right here, I just want to say this, and I know you can back this up. Both of us being here in the Cherokee County community, growing up our entire lives. Wow, Limestone's got football. Can you? What about the fan support here from from Gaffney and Blacksburg.
When we introduced Bobby James at his initial press conference, letting everybody know that we have hired a football coach, the fan base was ridiculous. You couldn't go into the community without somebody asking you, what's going on with the football team? What do they look like? Who's going to be playing quarterback? So many questions with the surrounding area, especially Gaffney football. 27 state championships?
17. Oh, you can give us those.
No, I'm talking about the New York Yankees.
We'll take the Yankees.
17 state championships for one school. They breed excellence when it comes to athletics. Academics, okay. Athletics,
Hey now.
yes. But and then you got the surrounding areas. Burns being a national powerhouse, and Spartanburg coming along. Dorman University. I mean, you got so many schools that Friday Night Lights is huge to them, and to have Saturday college football in their hometown or surrounding area it's great for the fan base.
Yeah, I just got to mention that. Being from Gaffney and seeing people in the town right now, they wearing blue and gold. You see a lot of blue and gold. You see limestone stuff in the community more so than I've ever had. I mean, and I hate to say that, but Gaffney's never really gotten behind limestone like they are right now, and they're doing it because of football. And it was cool to see that. And we're seeing it. We're averaging over 4,000 people a game at our football games, which would be the top of the South Atlantic Conference. We right there with Lenore Ryan, a national runner-up. So it's a credit. I mean, I think it's a credit to this community. It's a credit to the limestone community that's really opened arms and brought this new program in. And they're taking some lumps right now, which is to be expected with some young guys, but they do have a win as well. So let's get into what they've done so far. Open up the year.
We opened up the year against Wingate.
Established program.
A lot of ties to that program as well. We think about Bobby James coming from there, our head coach, who was D coordinator up there for a few years. His wife as well worked up in that area. Who else worked up there?
Coach Anthony.
Yeah,
Coach
Drew
Kerr.
Anthony, Craig Kerr.
Coach Hall. I mean, all of them.
At
some points got some ties to Wingate.
Most of our early hires had very, very strong ties to Wingate when they came down. So it was. I'm sure it was an emotional game for Coach James. It was an emotional game for everybody though, thinking that we had that first game ever. It was electric in that stadium.
There was like 7,000 people there. I mean, it was like a Gaffney football Friday night almost.
It was electric, and I love the atmosphere. Even though we were sitting up in the press box, we can feel it, and getting all the players, seeing them run out.
The run out to the no more waiting. That was cool.
It was a great experience. Now, in the end, we ended up losing the game, but
we played well.
But we played well for a first year program. We can't sit here and say, oh well, Limestone football, yay, you guys have won one game. No, because that's not the way we are this year.
You can't approach it that way. These are boys. Still.
They're young kids. It's a young team. For what we are, we're playing extremely well. We're making the rookie mistakes that everyone makes at this age. Mm-hmm. It's just like a little child trying to learn to walk. Yeah, you're going to fall down a few times.
I think that's key for people to understand. So when we're playing, we went out and played Newberry, we played Wingate, we played Alderson Broadus, and we got coming up. So we got UNC Pembroke, and we played North Greenville. Those are established programs. I'm going to help you out. There's grown men on those sidelines over there, and that's a big deal, particularly when you look on offense. We're talking about women's volleyball. On offense, there's a lot of trust.
Yeah.
And for offense, especially with your offensive line, and those guys have done a really good job. At the same time, they're 18 and 19 years old. They're going against guys that are 21, 22, 23, in some cases 24. They've redshirted, they've gotten bigger, they've been the strength. There's just a difference. Just like think about you guys. I mean, think about when I was 18 to when I was, 23. There was a big difference in how I thought. I was, health-wise, everything.
Yeah.
It becomes a big difference. But I still think that we've done really well. I got to commend those guys. They really battle it out every week. Last week, against North Greenville. At North Greenville, team's been in the playoffs regularly in Division II. They went in there and held them, who were averaging like almost 550 yards of offense. They held them to 333. They really did a good job.
But yeah, I mean, you look at it and, we've had some really good players coming out this year. We're going to sit here and talk about a few of them. One of the ones that really reigns pretty high from what I've seen already, DeAnthony Neal.
Oh, yeah.
He is holding the run game down really, really well. Bernard Merriweather as well. He's definitely helping out there in the backfield.
Dayton Commodore.
Yeah, Commodore as well. But, Matt, you can talk about this a little bit as well. You sit there, you watch that with me. He is that explosive player that Limestone's looking for.
DeAnthony is a different breed of athlete, and you can tell it from the first snap to the last snap. It doesn't matter if they're winning the game, if they're down, he is giving 110%. And if you hit him high, he's not going down. His yards after contact are ridiculous. Already eclipsed the 100-yard mark in 2 games this year, and that's really impressive with a brand new team. Young offensive linemen going against experienced defensive linemen. I mean, the kid has raw talent, and he's only going to get better.
And can I say this? Get to know, talk to DeAnthony a little bit. What a quality individual he is, too. You listen to him, very well spoken, very intelligent. I believe I heard he carries a 4.0. So he's a true definition. And when we talk about Division II, it really is a balance of you're a true student athlete in Division II. You got to go to class, you got to make the grades, but at the same time you can play. So at the same time, hats off to him. Not only is he a great player on the field, but he's a tremendous in the classroom. And also let's go back and look over some of the other players you wanted to mention over.
Well, let me tell you, the one player that's really caught my eye, and if you ever watch our spring sports, I'm sure he caught your eye once or twice as well. Wearing a little
national championship,
wearing a number 3 with a little lacrosse stick in his hand. Jamar Pete, he has come onto this football team and made a huge impact. Huge impact. Talking to Coach James, really found a leader for this young team. And not only has he been that leader, he's earned his starting spot on the defensive side of the ball, which is really good. And he's been making big numbers already. Big numbers. You look at that North Greenville game, he had the first ever defensive touchdown that Limestone's ever had, which is great.
What was it, Matt? We were sitting there at volleyball, right?
Yeah.
Watching that game.
Sitting in volleyball, and I mean, it was a massive hit on the receiver, little bubble wrap. Receiver caught the ball, and I mean, he got hit pretty hard. Jamar picked it up. You wasn't catching him. He was gone.
Yeah, it was great. And, in that exact same game, big special teams play as well. Blocked a field goal attempt, about a 27-yard attempt by North Greenville, I believe, and just cut through the middle, got a hand on it, blocked it down. It's those big explosive plays that you're really looking for someone like that. And Jamar is providing that for him. He's providing that spark. He's providing that experience of being at a college-level program, a national-level program on our Limestone lacrosse team, and bringing that into a new program with football. I think really Coach James is trying to show Jamar and say, hey, look, here you are. Here we are. Please
help us.
Help it. Let us come together as a team. Show us what it means to be Limestone football.
Yeah.
Another standout on the defense, you got Mahogany Super, number 11. I call him Dreads because that's all you see when he's running. And from start to finish, he is all over the field. The kid hits harder than I've ever seen. He plays with passion. He plays to win. They don't always win. Like Mikey had mentioned, there's growing pains. But these kids are in it together. And that's the big thing. They're going to have 4 years that they're going to play together. And I'm looking for big things out of Limestone football.
You're talking about a big hitter. The biggest hits I've seen this year. Number 44 over there, Patrick. And then when he hits somebody, I think the loudest cheers come from the parents. You hear his parents over everybody else.
I tell you, his parents are definitely enthusiastic about Limestone football. Very, very, very enthusiastic. But no, yeah, Everton's definitely been playing a very good game this year.
And Jason Fareed, this guy, Roger Brown, they're doing a good job up there.
And we have a stout defense, and we can't talk about defense without bringing up Joshua Simmons, who during that College of Faith game, three
interceptions.
He should have another one, shouldn't he?
I think he should have had 4 in the end. I think he dropped one that he probably was a little disappointed about. And I'm sure the coaches were a little disappointed as well. But, 3 picks. Team record right now, which isn't. It's not saying a whole lot, but still, even on established D2 Division I teams, anything like that, 3 picks is a quality defensive back, and still a freshman, just like everybody else on this team. He's still got 3 more years after this. I'm looking for big things from him as well.
All right, well. I believe we kind of went around the campus a little bit. We gave you a little bit on every team. Going forward, we probably won't go quite as in depth on every team. We'll try to shorten up the podcast a little bit. But we felt for today's podcast, we needed to go ahead and include everybody. But look for this. We're going to try to make this either weekly or bi-weekly. We're going to try to keep this going. So be on the lookout for the Break the Rock podcast. We'll start bringing in some guest interviews, stuff like that. So be on the lookout. Any student athletes listening in, if you'd like to be a part of it, you're more than welcome to reach on out, and we'll take it under some consideration. But let's wrap this thing up. Boys, it was fun.
Yeah, definitely a great time. Definitely a great time. Spent the last hour talking to you boys.
What's better than getting together with 2 of your good friends and talking about sports?
We're literally at 1 hour and a minute long right now.
All right, well, we are done. This is the maximum podcast needs to go. So I'm Trey Bloomer,
Mike Sanders,
Mr. Ferris,
Mr. Ferris, bringing to the inaugural Break the Rock podcast. Come on back, pick all your Limestone information. Go